What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be installing this signal booster from Bolton Technical. I was looking for a way to get some signal when I'm out in the mountains doing some overlanding trips, and I came across this antenna and the signal booster. I think it should work really well. The main reason for this is when I'm out in the area with very little reception, it's kind of hard for me to leave my family at home. So my wife needed a way to be able to contact me while I'm out on the trail. So this should give me enough signal to where I can still give her a call and make sure everything's all right. So first things first, we'll do an unboxing of the antenna over here and then the signal booster in this smaller box. This is their newer kit. They just came out with this. This will be their off-road version. Here's the signal booster itself. And here's the where you can power it up. I think I might hardwire it into my 12 volt up front. That way it's just always on. But I could always just plug it into the cigarette plug if I wanted to. Then here is the antenna that goes inside. So this will connect straight to the top, and you just put this like up above your head or just somewhere where it's gonna just be in line with your phone and there's gonna be no obstructions. This is where you'll get your signal from the booster. And it comes with a few other screws and parts. Not sure what I'll use on this, but we'll just figure it out as we go. Then you have your antenna. It's the blade version. Get this out of the bag. So you're going to want to mount this as high as you can. Yeah, because the higher this is, the easier it is for it to get reception from the cell phone towers. So just put this as high as possible, but be wary, you're probably going to smack it off some trees. So if you're going to go through some low clearance areas, you're probably going to want to pivot this down, and I'll show you what the mount looks like here in a second. Alright, so here's the cable that you'll run from the antenna to the signal booster inside. Then here's a various mount, or the ball mount. So there's two different ways to mount this kit. You can use the round mount. This will mount onto like some sort of bar, or you can use the track mount. This should slide right into any sort of T-track. That's what I'm going to try to do today. So I'll assemble some of this and show you kind of how I put it together. And then I'm going to show you where I mount things on the inside and where I mount the antenna. So the way that I'm going to set this up is I'm going to use the quick disconnect along with this thread adapter here to turn it into a female. So what I'll do is I'll take my antenna, bolt it into this quick disconnect. Then I'll go ahead and tighten this down later. And then I'll go from this to the ball mount. There we go. Then I'll go from the ball mount to this clasp right here, and then to the ball with the T-track mount on it, because I'm going to mount it straight to my roof rack. You could mount it to anything that has a T-track, but I just like how high I'm going to be able to get this antenna with it being on my rooftop tent. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there, tighten this down a little bit. And once it gets tight, I'll go over and put it on the Jeep. But the cool thing about this is you can loosen this up and kind of change the angle. So say you want it up while you're driving most of the time, but then you're going to go through a place that's low clearance. You can loosen this up and then swivel it whichever way you want. So you can make it go flat or whatever you want to do. kind of swivel it sideways so it like lay down like this. That way you're not going to rip it off on a tree or something. Or you could go ahead and do the complete disconnect like that. Just pull it completely off. Then so once we're inside, we'll mount this up on the inside. Here's your extension, so this will hook directly into this, the outside, or I need to, yeah, so it says outside right here. I'll wire the antenna into the outside, and then I'll wire this inside antenna up to here. Then all I'll need to do is run the power from my cigarette plug to the power here on the bottom, just like that. Alright, so you can see here we're at the side of the Jeep. I'm going to go ahead and try to mount the antenna right there on the corner, if you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, so in order to mount the antenna to the rooftop tent right here, like I said, you can use any sort of T-track with this mount. Otherwise you can get the optional clamp mount that'll go around something that's round. So you just take this right here, slide it in wherever you want it, just tighten it down as tight as you can get it. That way it's not going to move. Then I'll go ahead and tighten this down. And here you can kind of angle this however you want. Just get it straight up. And just tighten it as tight as you can get it. So what's really cool about this is, so when my rooftop tent flips up into the open position, this is not going to be pointed straight up. So what I can do is loosen this up and move it to whatever angle I need. And then I just tighten this back up and it'll stay right there. So now that we have the antenna installed onto my tent, I'm going to run the wire down into the Jeep, and then I'll show you how we hook up the power. So for the cell phone booster antenna on the inside that'll transmit the signal to your phone, I think I'm going to put it right up here. Just stick it right there, and then I'll run the cables down through the A-pillar and down under the glove box. I think that's where I'm going to put the signal booster itself, like the box. This right here. I'll stuff this up under the dash, and then I'll end up running the antenna wire from the antenna all the way down under here, under the glove box. So first you're going to want to clean the area with some rubbing alcohol. Just wipe it down real quick and let it dry, and then I'll stick the antenna on there. Alright, so I got it stuck on there. Now I'll run the wire down the A-pillar and under the glove box. Alright, so I got the wire ran here down the A-pillar. I just removed the handle. And then down here under the dash, here's got a lot of extra wire. So that's good if you have to run it quite a ways. But I'll just kind of tie it together once I'm done. But here's the end, and I just came from up in the corner. And here's my splitter where I can either wire the 12-volt plug, just cut this off and wire it into here, and that goes right to my 12-volt plug. Otherwise, you can run this straight to your 12-volt plug and just plug it in. So I'm thinking about sticking this booster kind of up here in the corner, neither zip tying it down or just like letting it lay in there. And so the only other thing I need to do is run this antenna cable out to the antenna that's mounted to the rooftop tent. Alright, so I got the antenna wired up. I've got the wire running down here, and it goes under the bed, just along the frame, and then up through my drain plug. And I was running into issues with the length of the cable. I needed maybe 2 more feet, so I ended up scrapping the idea of putting it up in the dash, and I'm just gonna mount the booster right under the passenger seat. I think if I just get some really small screws and run it into the floor, this is like a cardboard material, and that'll be good enough to keep it in place. And then I got the power wire running over here over to my cigarette plug, and I'll do the demonstration this way, but I will ultimately probably end up wiring it into something like this, which just hooks up to the back of the wiring of the 12 volt. So it'll be the same thing, it'll just be hardwired instead of using the included plug. Okay, so I've got it screwed down. It's pretty solid, it's not really going anywhere. So I'll go ahead and turn on the power. So you see that red LED lit up right there. Now we'll come back and look down here. You can see that it's all lit up and it's showing that it's boosting the signal. So I guess the only thing I have left to do is to take it out and test it out where I don't have any signal. So that's it for this install. It was pretty straightforward. I just had to run the wire down through the flooring and so I could reach the antenna on the outside, and then sticking the antenna on the inside here. So super easy install, and I will be testing it out here in a few weeks when I go out to Colorado to see if I'm able to make phone calls where I normally wouldn't be able to. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments or message me on Instagram, We The People 4x4, and I will get back to you. Thanks. So normally I would not be able to get any reception at all out here, but I'm running the blade antenna for the cell phone booster from Bolton Technical. It actually has been working really good. Some spots out here, obviously it's too mountainous, you're just in between mountains and you can't get anything. But right here I'm getting full bars LTE, which is pretty ridiculous. And we're completely surrounded by super tall mountains.